Chapter 953. The girl threw herself into Ningxi's arms and began to cry. Soon, the shoulder of Ningxi's pajamas was wet from crying. Ningxi had mixed feelings. She patted the girl on the shoulder. Okay, don't cry. Come in first. Ningxi welcomed the girl in, changed her slippers, and led her to the sofa. After settling her down, Ningxi hurriedly poured her a cup of hot tea. The girl had long, straight, black hair and long eyelashes like butterfly wings. She wore a hooded windbreaker cloak with a circle of white fluff on the brim of the hood, which made her palm-sized face look even more delicate and fair. She sat there like a delicate porcelain doll. At this moment, the girl was sitting on the sofa with her head down. She looked at Ningxi while crying, like a puppy that had been abandoned by its owner and finally found home. Have some tea. Ningxi handed the teacup to the girl and looked solemn. Even Annie was here. It seemed that second senior brother's information was correct. That guy had really started to develop in China. Thank you, brother Shi. The girl took the tea while crying. After taking the tea, she looked up at Ningxi and cried even harder. Brother Shi, you look so good in women's clothes. Ningxi held her forehead. Ah, you cry when you see me, you cry when I pour you tea, and you cry when I look good. Why haven't you changed your crying habit at all? But, brother Shi, you've changed a lot. The girl looked around with a gloomy expression. The furniture in the room was decorated in warm colors, and it was very warm and comfortable. Ningxi was wearing a soft pink coral velvet nightgown at the moment, and her naturally curly long hair casually draped behind her head. Although it was not the first time she saw Ningxi dressed in women's clothing, she almost couldn't recognize her. In just a year, the woman in front of her had changed dramatically, both in appearance and temperament. This strange feeling made her very uncomfortable and even flustered. It was as if the person she knew had disappeared. Silly girl, people always change. Maybe this is what I really look like. Ningxi rubbed the girl's head and then asked, Don't talk about me. What about you? Why did you come back? Is it temporary, or? The girl's expression was still a little listless. I'm not sure. I'll listen to boss's arrangements. Who knows, maybe one day I'll have to run around the world again. That's why I hurried over to see you. Ningxi knew that they had confidentiality rules, and she didn't want to know too much about them, so she just asked casually and didn't ask more. She just cared about Annie. How have you been recently? Annie immediately started to complain. It's not good at all. After you left, boss's temper worsened. He took it out on me all day, beat me, scolded me, didn't give me food to eat, and always said that he would throw me to the old monster next door for a marriage alliance. Brother Shi, come back quickly. I missed you so much. Ah. Ningxi looked a little helpless. Although that guy was a little nasty, at most he would just say it verbally. Beating her, scolding her, and not even giving her food to eat, no matter how you looked at it, it was a little exaggerated, right? She also knew that Annie deliberately said that to make her go back. At first, when she saved Annie, because Annie was weak, timid, and liked to cry, that guy was very annoyed, and often wanted to throw her into the sea. Fortunately, in the end, she found that Annie had a specialty. Chapter 954. You can't judge a book by its cover. This timid, crybaby who loved all furry, cute, and adorable things was a master of her family's inherited medical skills. After knowing this, that fellow finally agreed to let Annie stay. He would never let useless people stay with him, not to mention people who would drag him down. Your ability determined your position in the organization and the benefits you could get. As the team's nanny, Annie was treated well. That was why she could leave. Annie, I'm sorry. I don't know if eldest senior brother told you about my situation, but I can't go back now. Although Ningxi didn't have the heart to say this, it was better to get the pain over with. Annie put down the teacup and grasped Ningxi's hand. Why? Is it because of that man? Could it be that what Brother Yi said was true? Are you really dating him? Yes. Ningxi didn't want to hide it from her. Annie panicked when she heard this. She hurriedly said, Brother Shi, I've specially investigated him. That man is not what he appears to be. Do you know how many shameful things he has done in secret to get to where he is today? Maybe you think boss is scary, but he's even scarier than Satan, if you know his true colors. Ningxi sighed and interrupted Annie. Everyone who has reached the top has been killed. Annie, I'm not a saint. It's enough as long as he treats me well. The Lu group was huge and had businesses all over the world. How could it be completely clean and untainted? What's more, Lu Tingxiao could even accept her past in China. How could she hold a grudge against him because of such a thing? Hearing Ningxi's answer, Annie was anxious. She held her hand tightly. Brother Shi, you've been bewitched by him. That guy has ulterior motives for you. Ningxi chuckled. Annie, I don't have anything on me that he can covet. Annie said, of course not. You're beautiful. Phut, I'm the one who covets his beauty, right? Ningxi laughed. That's true. Bah, no. Brother Shi, you're so annoying. I was almost fooled by you. Annie stomped her feet and complained. From the information she found, the only thing she recognized was that the man was indeed good-looking. No wonder Brother Shi was attracted to him. Annie looked like she was racking her brains. She scratched her head and continued to persuade her, if you like his face, I can help you find someone better looking than him. Actually, to be honest, as long as our boss isn't eccentric and crazy, he's also very handsome when he's normal. No, it's very handsome. Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Has he ever been normal? No. Annie cried even harder. Sigh, poor child. Ningxi patted her on the back and took a tissue to wipe her tears. Well, don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing. After sobbing for a long time, Annie seemed to have thought of something. Suddenly, her eyes lit up and she hurriedly said, yes, that's right. I got it. Brother Shi. That man's child was already 5 years old. He had a son. A 5-year-old son. I know. Do you know you're still, that child is quite cute. Chapter 955. It's not a matter of being cute or not. Brother Shi, wake up and listen to me. It's not easy to be a stepmother. There are countless bloody examples in front of you. Brother Shi, let me tell you, I know a beautiful sister who was young and beautiful before she got married. Ever since she married a man with a child and became a stepmother, in just a few months, she worked so hard that I couldn't recognize her anymore. Another beautiful sister also told me that after she got married, nothing she did was wrong. No matter how kind she was, she would be treated as a donkey's liver and lungs. That child was especially bad. At such a young age, he would frame her and cause her to break up with her husband. There's also a little sister. Annie pulled Ningxi aside and tried to persuade her. She didn't know where this little girl got to know so many stepmothers. It wasn't easy to find so many bloody examples. Ningxi looked helpless, but didn't interrupt her. She just listened quietly. At this moment, there was a click behind them. The bathroom door was pushed open, and then there was a series of footsteps in slippers. Ningxi and Annie, who was talking eloquently, turned around at the same time. Then they saw a little bun, who had just taken a shower and changed into plush cartoon pajamas, with rosy cheeks, walking out, kawaii. In the next second, Annie's scream almost broke through the roof. Then, the little girl rushed to Xiao Bao like a rocket at lightning speed, and hugged the little fellow tightly in her arms. Oh my god, so cute, so cute. How can he be so cute? Brother Shi, why do you have such a cute child at home? Ah, so cute. I've never seen such a cute little thing, he's even cuter than a furry animal. Looking at Annie, who was so excited that she was about to faint, Ningxi helplessly pinched the space between her eyebrows. She almost forgot one thing. Annie loved small furry animals and all cute things the most. For her, cuteness was justice. No wonder she was so excited when she saw the cute little bun. Brother Shi, which family's child is he? Why is he here? Annie asked eagerly. His Lu Tingxiao's son. Ningxi answered. Annie, as soon as he finished speaking, Annie was completely dumbfounded. Her expression was one of complete shock. Taking advantage of the moment when Annie was in a daze, little Bun hurriedly struggled out of the strange big sister's embrace and threw himself into Ningxi's arms. Ningxi picked up little Bun and gently introduced him. Don't be afraid, Xiaobao. This is Mama's good friend. Your Auntie Annie. Tilda Little Bun blinked her eyes and nodded. Then, she revealed a suspicious expression. Why does Auntie Annie look so sad? Was it because he was pushed away by Xiaobao just now? Ning Shi looked at Little Bun's remorseful expression and chuckled. Oh, maybe you're a little sad because you pushed her away just now. Why don't you go hug Auntie Annie again? Little Bun immediately nodded obediently. Ning Shi put the Little Bun down. Go. Little Bun glanced at Mama, and then under Mama's encouraging gaze, she walked over to the dumbfounded Auntie Annie, opened her short arms, and gently hugged her. Oh, seeing that you are Mama's good friend, I'll let you hug me again. Don't be sad. Chapter 956. Feeling the soft and fragrant marshmallow hugging her, Annie's heart almost melted as she looked at the little guy's beautiful eyes, which were as beautiful as the stars above the Arctic glacier. At the same time, she was overwhelmed with disbelief. Brother Shi, are you kidding me? Is this really Lu Tingxiao's son? Lu Tingxiao's son? Are you sure? Ning Shi nodded. Yes, I'm sure. He is Lu Tingxiao's son, Xiaobao. What do you think? I didn't lie to you, right? Isn't he cute? Annie nodded so hard that her head almost fell off. He's so cute. What should I do? I didn't remember to prepare a gift for you when we first met. Annie scratched her ears and cheeks anxiously while fumbling around on her body. She took off the candies and chocolates from her pocket, the small medicine bag from her waist, and even the diamond necklace from her neck, and stuffed them all into Xiaobao's arms. This attitude, it was a complete 180 degrees change. Just a second ago, Xiaobao was telling her how miserable stepmothers were and how bad stepsons were. Ning Shi kept the candies and chocolates for Xiaobao and returned the small medicine bag and diamond necklace. These are too expensive. Don't give them to him. He's still young and doesn't need them. You're right. Lu Tingxiao is so rich. Annie muttered as she took back the diamond necklace and stuffed the red medicine bag into Ning Shi's hands. Keep this. It's my latest prescription. The herbs inside can protect almost all kinds of poisonous insect. It works. Ning Shi took it with a smile. Then I'll thank Aunt Annie on behalf of Xiaobao. Next time, if I have a chance next time, I'll prepare better. I was in a hurry this time and didn't expect to see Xiaobao. Annie said embarrassedly. At this moment, Annie didn't mention it's hard to be a stepmother at all. She really couldn't say it in front of such a cute little thing, such a cute kid. No wonder brother Shi likes him so much. Ning Shi and Annie sat on the sofa again. Xiaobao sat between them and was curiously studying the small medicine bag in his hand. It's incredible. How can Lu Tingxiao's son be so cute? Annie stared at them for a long time but still couldn't calm down. Although they do look a lot like Lu Tingxiao, it doesn't make sense that they're so cute. Annie stared at it and suddenly stared at Ning Shi. Brother Shi, don't tell me you and Lu Tingxiao had this child. The corners of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. Honey, you're too imaginative. Papa and Mama gave birth to it. When little steamed Bun, who was studying the medicinal pouch, heard this, she immediately revealed a bright and beautiful smile. That's true. Annie pursed her lips. After accidentally seeing little Bun's smile, she was stunned and muttered suspiciously. But, if you look closely, you really do look a little alike. Do I look like that? Where? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Annie nodded. Yes. Maybe you didn't notice, but I took a closer look just now. When he smiles, he really looks like you, especially the eyes. As Annie spoke, she suddenly thought of a crucial question. Who is the mother of this child? Ning Shi shrugged. I don't know, because even Lu Tingxiao doesn't know. Chapter 957. Annie was instantly enraged. This man's private life is too messy. He doesn't even know who his son's mother is. Annie deliberately lowered her voice and muttered to herself, considering that Xiaobao was here. Ning Shi knew what she wanted to say and said indifferently, it's not what you think. In this matter, he's actually a victim too. However, Annie didn't think much of it. She felt that Ning Shi must have been tricked by him. What a pity. How could such a cute little baby have such a scary father? She really couldn't imagine what kind of abyss of suffering the little baby and brother she would be living under Lu Tingxiao's cruel rule. Ningxi looked at Annie's anxious expression and helplessly held her forehead and sighed. What was this girl thinking about again? She wondered if that guy had instilled some nonsense into her. Otherwise, why would Annie always have a worried expression as if she was being abused? As the two of them chatted, the door to the study behind them opened and Lu Tingxiao walked out. Ningxi turned her head when she heard the sound. Lu Tingxiao, are you done with your work? Did I wake you up? Who? Lu Tingxiao? Annie immediately looked in the direction of the study and saw a tall man wearing the same blue pajamas as Ningxi standing at the door of the study. The man wore a pair of glasses on his face and held a coffee cup in his hand. He looked very relaxed, gentle and at home. However, the way he stood at the door made it seem like he was filming a fashion blockbuster. Most importantly, the man did not have the slightest bit of cruelty and hostility that the rumors said. He was like the most ordinary husband who came home after work. He wasn't a monster, but an ordinary man, except that he was a little too handsome. This is... Lu Tingxiao looked at Annie on the sofa. Ningxi walked over and held Lu Tingxiao's arm. She pulled him over and introduced him. This is a good friend I met when I was in China, Annie. Annie, this is my boyfriend, Lu Tingxiao. Hello. Lu Tingxiao nodded slightly. Although he wasn't very enthusiastic, he was still very polite. Hi. Hello. In Annie's mind, Lu Tingxiao had always been a ruthless tyrant, or even a monster. So, she couldn't associate the human in front of her with Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao looked at his sleepy son and walked over to pick him up. Xiaobao seems sleepy. I'll take him to bed. You guys talk. Knowing that the sisters hadn't seen each other for a long time and had a lot to talk about, Lu Tingxiao considerately gave them some personal space. Little Bun seemed a little unhappy. She put her head on Lu Tingxiao's shoulder and reached out to Ningxi. She didn't want to sleep. Lu Tingxiao rubbed his son's head. It's late, don't be stubborn. Your mother and Auntie Annie haven't seen each other in a long time. They need to talk. Little Steamed Bun could only nod as she listened. She yawned delicately and then lay on her papa's shoulder. Your mother and Auntie Annie, such a natural sentence. Also, he treated his son so gently and lovingly. Annie was dumbfounded. This was completely different from the Lu Tingxiao that she knew. What exactly went wrong? Chapter 958. Annie. Annie, what are you thinking about? Ningxi waved her hand in front of Annie, who was in a daze. Brother Shi, is he really Lu Tingxiao? Why does he look like a human being? No, I mean, he looks quite gentle. Human being? Ningxi laughed. Of course he is. What else do you think? I thought he was scary. Ningxi touched her chin and thought for a while. Well, strictly speaking, he does have a scary side, but he is gentle in front of me and Xiaobao. In fact, when I first met him, I also thought he was scary. At that time, I even gave him the nickname the Devil. Hearing this, Annie suddenly understood why Ningxi was with Lu Tingxiao. Such a man gave all his gentleness to one person. At first, she thought that maybe brother Shi treated Lu Tingxiao the same way as the men she had dated before. But now, she gradually became sure that it was not that simple. This time, he was afraid that she was serious. At this time, Ningxi's cell phone suddenly rang. Sorry, let me take this call. Well, it's okay. Annie said hurriedly. The call was from Qiao Weilan. It should be about the studio, so Ningxi picked it up immediately. Hello, Director Qiao. All the 9 sets of clothes have been given. I have just sent the list and information of the donors to your mailbox. Please check it. Qiao Weilan's tone was as neat as ever. Okay, I'll check the mailbox later. Thank you, Director Qiao. The effect of this gift can be seen in at most a month or at least half a month. You just need to wait. During this period, I wonder if we can improve the appearance of the studio. After all, this is not only the place where we work, but also the place where we receive customers in the future. Fortunately, you reminded me. I'll tell Momo to leave the design style to Shang Ziyi. Don't worry about the funds. I'll handle it. When Ning Shi was on the phone, Annie quietly watched from the side. In addition to Brother Shi at home, she unexpectedly saw another side of Brother Shi at work. Every one of them was something she could never have imagined. Although the Tang Shi she knew was carefree and unrestrained, she was always lonely, as if she didn't care about anything, even her own life. But now, she saw something shining in her. Ning Shi had just finished the call when Lu Tingxiao came out of the room after putting Xiaobao to sleep. He was holding a brown stuffed bear in his hand. Is Xiaobao asleep? Ning Shi hung up the phone and asked. Yes. Lu Tingxiao nodded and walked over to Annie. He handed the little bear to her. Miss Annie, this is little Bao's gift to you. Ah, there was even a gift in return. It's so cute. Annie was overwhelmed by the favor. She took it and hugged it in her arms. Thank you. Please thank Xiao Bao for me. At this moment, her view of Lu Tingxiao had almost completely changed. The person who could raise such a cute and sensible baby must be a very good person. Does Miss Annie have any research on medicinal herbs? Lu Tingxiao suddenly asked. How did you know? Annie was a little surprised. I saw the medicine bag you gave Xiaobao, Lu Tingxiao said. Chapter 959. Ah, that. I did a little research, Annie said. Ning Shi smiled and said, Annie, you're too modest. Lu Tingxiao, don't be fooled by Annie's adorable appearance. She's very good at medicine and is very talented. Annie was a little embarrassed and hurriedly said, not as good as you, Brother Shi. Lu Tingxiao muttered to himself for a moment before taking out a yellowed thread-bound book from a drawer. I happened to obtain an ancient medical book a few days ago. If Miss Annie doesn't mind, I'll give it to you as a meeting gift. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoxi when you were abroad. No, thank you. I didn't take care of Brother Shi. She has been taking care of me, and this medical book is too expensive. Annie could tell at a glance that the medical book was very expensive and it was the only copy, which was priceless. Ning Shi put the book in Annie's hand. Just take it. It's useless to us anyway. Besides, who said you didn't take care of me? You were the one who took care of me when I was injured several times. Well, okay, I'll take the book. Thank you. Annie was silent. She didn't think it was necessary for her to stay here anymore. She took a deep breath and smiled. Brother Shi, I'm so happy to see you today. It's late. I'll leave you alone. Ah, so soon. I'll be in China for the time being. We'll have a chance to see each other in the future, as long as you don't mind me. Tilda. Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao walked Annie downstairs. Lu Tingxiao was waiting downstairs and Ning Shi walked Annie to the car. Drive safe. Well, you know, I drive like a snail. It's impossible for me to drive fast, Annie said with a smile. The night was quiet and the moonlight was cool. Annie clenched her fists, loosened them, and clenched them again. After a while, she looked up at the person in front of her and said in a trembling voice, Brother Shi, you really can't come back, right? Ning Shi sighed and hugged her. Annie, everyone has their own life. I'm like that, so are you. Live your life well and don't worry about me. I'll live well too. Annie sniffled. I admit that I was really worried before I came, but Xiaobao is so cute, and Lu Tingxiao is also a good person. Brother Shi, I wish you happiness. Apart from this sentence, it seems that anything else I say is unnecessary. Thank you, I will. After saying goodbye to Ning Shi, Annie waved her hand, opened the car door, and started the engine. The car slowly drove away from the apartment. In the rearview mirror, she vaguely saw the man draping a thick coat over the girl's body in front of the building behind her. The girl raised her head and smiled at him. The two of them chatted as they hugged each other and went upstairs. It turned out that Brother She was a good person, really a good person. She had someone she loved, a dream, and a career. Life was much better than before. Why let her come back? They went upstairs. As soon as they opened the door and entered the room, Ning Shi hugged Lu Tingxiao's waist and raised her head to thank him. Boss, thank you. Lu Tingxiao leaned against the door. Thank me for what? Ning Shi raised her head and looked at the man in front of her seriously. Thank you for being so nice to my friend. You know that she is from that side, right? Lu Tingxiao said, I just need to know that she is someone you cherish. Chapter 960. Ningxi thought for a moment and guessed with a smile, this time, Annie is probably here to persuade you, but she's obviously been convinced by you and Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao subconsciously hugged the girl tighter, a trace of undetectable coldness flashing in his eyes. I won't let you leave me, no matter who comes. I won't leave you either, no matter who comes. There was an abandoned luxurious villa in the north of the city, which used to be the residence of the rich and powerful in the capital. As time passed, because no one lived in it for a long time and people died in it, there were often horrible incidents. Now, it had become a famous haunted house. Not only could it not be sold, no one dared to go near it for dozens of miles. At this moment, a black car slowly stopped in front of the villa in the night. A girl in a cloak got out of the car and walked towards the door. With a creak, the girl reached out and pushed open the heavy door of the living room. In the large European-style hall of the Middle Ages, the walls were hung with simple oil paintings, the windows were colored retro glass windows, the wooden spiral staircase, and the fireplace in the hall was burning with charcoal, emitting heat and light. On the sofa opposite the fireplace sat two men and a woman. The man sitting alone on the sofa was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and was wiping a soft sword in his hand. On the opposite sofa was an older middle-aged man who was flipping through a thick German book on his knees. Next to the man was a beautiful woman with a hot body. She was bored to death and tilted her head with one hand while twirling a gun in the other. Seeing that Annie had returned, the beauty put away her gun and immediately stood up to greet her. Annie baby Tilda, how is it? How is it? There won't be a problem with you. Little junior sister can't bear to see you cry. Hearing this, Annie lowered her head and said weakly with a listless expression, Sister Xiao Xiao, I'm sorry, I've let everyone down. Ah, how come? Feng Xiao Xiao said, looking at the stuffed bear in her arms curiously, where did this thing come from? Hearing this, Annie's little face instantly lit up and she said happily, Xiaobao gave it to me. Oh, right, Xiaobao is Lu Tingxiao's son. He's very, very cute. Especially his beautiful eyes, as pretty as brother Shi. And he's very obedient and sensible. I gave him a small medicine pouch, and he gave me this in return. Also, Lu Tingxiao gave me a medical book to thank me for taking care of brother Shi when I was abroad. Lu Tingxiao is completely different from what you've described him to be. He's very kind and isn't as scary as the rumors say. He's very gentle to brother Shi and very polite to me. He's very gentlemanly and polite. Annie's clear and melodious voice echoed in the spacious hall like a skylark. Feng Xiao Xiao. Tang Yi. Feng Jin. Seeing the three of them staring at her at the same time, Annie was a little confused. She said timidly, why is everyone looking at me? Did I say something wrong? Tang Yi adjusted his glasses and remained silent. Feng Jin continued to flip through the book as if nothing had happened. Feng Xiao Xiao rubbed her forehead and wailed on the verge of breaking down, haven't you realized that you've been instigated to betray us, my darling? You were the one who was supposed to pull him back. Why did you change sides? He had suffered a double loss. It's a huge loss, a huge loss. Lu Tingxiao really isn't easy to deal with. Now that there's a little one, the damage is doubled. Chapter 961. Annie seemed to have realized it too. She said tearfully, what should we do now? She didn't know what was wrong with her. She had unknowingly forgotten about her mission and was even convinced in the end. Feng Xiao Xiao spread out her hands. Eldest senior brother used force last time. This time, it's your turn. It's useless now. What else can we do? Due to Annie's failure, the atmosphere was heavy. No one said a word. At this moment, a faint voice came from one of the rooms upstairs, little bait. A bear and a lousy book are enough to buy you over. The voice echoed in the empty hall. It was cold and frightening. Annie's shoulders trembled when she heard the voice. Her face turned pale. She looked up and said, no, it's not like that. Lu Tingxiao is really like the rumors say. Huh? Annie heard the cold voice upstairs and saw Feng Xiaoxiao's anxious gaze. She immediately fell silent and didn't dare to say anything good about Lu Tingxiao. You've all grown up. Who allowed you to bring her back? Annie didn't dare to say a word. Feng Xiaoxiao rubbed her nose and acted like a quail. Tang Yi was about to speak when Feng Jin pressed his shoulder. Feng Jin said, I came up with the idea. It'll be great if Tang Shi can come back. If not, we won't lose anything. She'll come back. She'll cry and beg me to let her come back. Annie and Feng Xiaoxiao's expressions darkened at the man's gloomy voice. Feng Jin said expressionlessly, Satan, we've just arrived in the country. The most important thing now is to establish a foothold. Please don't be distracted. Moreover, this is Lu Tingxiao's territory. There's no need to alert him now. As for Tang Shi, please leave it to me. I'll give you a satisfactory answer. Finally, there was dead silence in the house and no sound came from upstairs. They seemed to have agreed with Feng Jin's words. Feng Xiaoxiao's eyes flashed with worry when she heard Feng Jin's words. She smiled ingratiatingly and leaned in front of Feng Jin. Mr. Advisor, what do you plan to do? Feng Jin glanced at her, then at Annie and Tang Yi. He said coldly, carry out your duties. This isn't something you should worry about. With that, he turned around and left. Feng Xiaoxiao scratched her head as she watched Feng Jin leave. Feng Jin is different from us. We're friends with little junior sister, so we wouldn't really hurt her. But he's different. I don't know what he's trying to do. Tang Yi's thin lips parted slightly. Feng Jin is right. This isn't something we should worry about. As for little junior sister, there will be people who will worry about her. This matter ends here. No one is allowed to interfere without permission. After Feng Jin and Tang Yi left, Feng Xiaoxiao immediately pulled Annie to the side and asked anxiously, Annie, what exactly happened? Hurry up and tell me. Annie sat on the sofa, glanced at Feng Xiaoxiao, and said, Brother, she is beautiful in female clothes, Lu Tingxiao is very gentle, and Xiaobao is very cute, obedient, and adorable. The three of them are very happy, that's all. Feng Xiaoxiao. All right, I won't ask any more. My baby Annie has obviously been completely instigated. Chapter 962. Qiao Weilan had predicted that it would take half a month to a month, but in fact, it was even shorter than she had predicted. First, it was the birthday party of Miss Wang, a socialite in the capital. She had always had good taste in clothes and liked to try new personal fashion brands. At the birthday party that day, she wore a retro Chinese-style dress. The dress was like a flaming cloud, which made Miss Wang look bright and beautiful. That night, she outshone everyone else. As soon as the party ended, many ladies went to ask about the brand of her dress. After asking around, they found out that it was a gift from her friend in the fashion industry. It was designed by the mysterious designer ZX, the winner of this year's Golden Top Award. It was the latest design that hadn't been released yet. Even Qin Shengyu loved it. Ziyi Ling spread the news in the circle. Those who had been given it but didn't plan to wear it all wore it to show it off. A few days later, a lady in the circle had her dress spilled when she attended a banquet. She didn't have time to change it, and the dress that Qiao Weilan gave her was in the car. The lady loved international brands and didn't want to wear this kind of low-quality brand. She had no choice but to change into that dress. That night, after the lady changed into the peacock blue cheongsam, she won the praise of all the female guests. They all said that the design was exquisite, and it complemented her temperament as if it was tailor-made for her. Many middle-aged ladies of her age also came to ask about the brand of her dress and who made it. After that was the most recent, and also the most sensational one. General Zhuang Zhongren, together with General Zhuang Liaoyuan and his granddaughter Zhuang Ku, received the national VIPs from various countries. It was broadcasted on the national news. On that day, General Zhuang's granddaughter, Zhuang Ku, wore a dress that was dignified and lively. Most importantly, this dress perfectly combined fashion with Hua Nation elements. It even received praise from international friends, who praised the charm of Hua Nation clothing on the spot. Without a sound, Ziyi Ling became famous all of a sudden. From the socialite circle to the upper-class circle, she even received strong support from the state and a sum of money to support national brands. Although a few million was not a lot, the key was that Ziyi Ling would have the opportunity to represent the country on more important occasions in the future. Oh my God, Boss. We're famous. We're popular. Our phones are about to explode with calls. Orders. It's all orders. Han Momo was so excited that she jumped in front of Qiao Weilan and bowed seriously. Director Qiao, you are so awesome. I apologize for my previous doubt. It's really amazing. Qiao Weilan glanced at Ning Shi, who was busy looking at customer information. In fact, I just wanted to find a way to open up the market. I didn't expect it to develop like this, especially Miss Zhuang. She thought that Ning Shi's friend was just an ordinary socialite. How could she have known that it was General Zhuang's daughter, Zhuang Ku'er? What surprised her even more was that she didn't expect Zhuang Ku'er to wear their clothes on such an occasion. Usually, the clothes worn on such occasions were checked by a professional stylist. She couldn't wear whatever she wanted unless she had a very good relationship with the stylist. Only then could Zhuang Ku'er convince the stylist to wear such a set of clothes for the occasion. Of course, it was also because the quality and design of their clothes were absolutely up to standard and outstanding enough that the stylist would agree. Chapter 963. Hearing Qiao Weilan's words, Ning Shi looked up from the pile of documents and sighed. To be honest, I was shocked too. I owe Ku'er a big favor. I must treat her to a big meal after this. Boss, there are so many orders. Should we start making new products now? I'm afraid we don't have enough manpower now. There are only 10 craftsmen making advanced customizations. Ning Shi looked in Qiao Weilan's direction. Director Qiao, you should have a plan, right? Since Qiao Weilan dared to propose the desperate method of sending clothes directly, she must have a plan next. Qiao Weilan said briskly, my plan is to temporarily decline all orders. If they ask, just tell them that the goods are out of stock. All advanced customizations need to be booked 3 months in advance. Customers who book successfully will be served one-to-one by our team and tailored according to their image and temperament. Decline all orders. All? Han Momo's eyes widened in shock. It was all money, much more money than last time. But this time, she was not so impulsive. Instead, she carefully thought about Qiao Weilan's intentions. Director Qiao, you mean that the rarer something is, the more valuable it is? Qiao Weilan nodded. That's right. For customers, it's easier to get rid of things that are too easy to get. The more they can't buy it, the more precious it will be to them. If they take everything they want, they will soon lose interest and even feel that everyone's clothes can't show their uniqueness. This is why history's popularity in the circle of socialites passed so quickly. For a small profit, they will ruin the high-end market. Ning Shi snapped her fingers. Okay, let's do that. We also need to renovate the store, prepare supplies, and recruit staff during this time. Qiao Weilan paused and then continued, in addition, there's another piece of good news. The time is ripe. I've already selected several agents with good strength. Our physical flagship store can be opened. Wow! Hooray! Han Momo pulled Gong Shangzi and cheered excitedly. Ning Shi was also filled with emotion. Finally, they had finally made it. Shangzi, are you okay? After the flagship store, we will definitely need a lot of ready-made clothing designs. Ning Shi asked with concern. Gong Shangzi smiled and took out a huge stack of design drafts from the drawer. I've already prepared them. Ning Shi's eyes glowed as he stared at the design drafts. With just a glance, he knew that they were the best works of his inspiration. Damn. Too awesome. My partners are all too reliable. It feels so safe. Boss, you are the one who gives people the most sense of security. You can always do things that I think are absolutely impossible. Han Momo said with her starry eyes. In fact, she also said what Gong Shangzi was thinking at the same time. All right, stop flattering me. I'll definitely give you a raise next month. There's even a bonus, boss. I love you. Okay, go to work. I'll take a call. The phone rang. Ning Shi walked to the balcony and answered the call. Congratulations, Boss Ning Qin Shengyue's voice came from the other end of the line. Ning Shi smiled. I don't deserve to be called boss, Boss Qin, don't be humble. Even I have to praise you for developing to this stage in such a short time. What's more, I didn't expect you to subdue my trump card so quickly. TSK, looks like I won't be able to take back this trump card after this year. Qin Shengyu joked. Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Sigh, maybe this is the charm of personality. You little girl. Qin Shengyu chuckled, then said faintly, however, can you tell me who your mysterious designer, ZX, is now? Chapter 964. Ningxi was silent for a moment, then asked, I wonder. Do you know the predecessor of history? The predecessor of history. Nichang. A personal brand with a lot of potential. I noticed it back then. Dai Wei's design was too clever. Nichang was just missing an opportunity. After Ning Xueluo invested in it, it really took off. Ningxi's expression was cold. ZX is the real founder of Nichang. What? Qin Shengyu sounded extremely surprised. She clearly didn't expect things to turn out this way. She finally understood where that strange feeling came from when she was comparing Ziyiling and history. All her questions were answered. Therefore, her guess was right. Dai Wei was the real plagiarist. No, more accurately, he was the one who had stolen the book. Although this result was unexpected, it was completely reasonable. I see. Then it makes sense. But why didn't you say anything about this? Qin Shengyu asked in confusion. Ningxi said nonchalantly, who would believe a weakling's words without evidence? But it doesn't matter anymore. One day, I'll clear the name of my designer in front of the world. At the balcony door, Gong Shangze was looking for Ningxi. He was about to push the door open when he heard Ningxi say that. Without warning, his eyes turned red, and his heart felt like it was hit by something. The young man clenched the design draft in his hand, took a deep breath, and left quietly. TSK, you're talking big, aren't you? Qin Shengyu smiled. Somehow, she felt that it wasn't a big deal to her. Then I wish you good luck. Remember to buy me dinner. Of course. In the following period of time, many socialites and rich young men who wanted to please women called Ziyiling almost every day to ask about it. Some even came in person. However, no matter how powerful or famous they were, or how much money they offered, it was all to no avail. Ziyiling's reply to the public was that it was out of stock and they needed to make an appointment in advance. It was hard to get an advanced custom-made piece from Ziyiling. Even so, the number of appointments only increased. It was half a year later, and it was still increasing. Many of the socialites, especially the upper-class ladies, were financially strong and business-minded. They offered to represent Ziyiling's ready-made clothing, which would also greatly expand Ziyiling's business. In just over a month, Ziyiling had opened a main store and 3 branches in the capital city. They were also expanding their business in other provinces. If all went well, they could plan to enter the international market next year, at night, at the Platinum Gold Palace. Ningxi specially cooked a sumptuous dinner and opened a bottle of red wine, which was rare for her. Congratulations. Lu Tingxiao raised his glass to the girl. Looking at the godlike man in front of her, Ningxi lightly touched the man's wine glass, raised her head and drank, thank you. When Little Bun saw this, he immediately picked up his glass of milk, unwilling to be outdone. Ningxi chuckled and clinked glasses with him. She propped her chin on her hand and sighed. Alas, it's so smooth. It's unreal. You've taken one step at a time to get to where you are now. You're well prepared, so there's no need to worry, Lu Tingxiao said. Looking at Lu Tingxiao lecturing her like a life mentor, Ningxi held back her laughter and nodded seriously. Millimeter. Teacher Lu, you're the best. Chapter 965. After dinner, Ningxi suddenly remembered something important and hurriedly looked at the little baby. By the way, Xiaobao, there's something I need to trouble you with. Can you write a piece of calligraphy for Mama? Xiaobao immediately nodded happily to be able to help Mama. In the study, Ningxi diligently prepared the ink and paper, and then began to grind the ink. Because Xiaobao couldn't reach the table, he was carried by Lu Tingxiao to a small stool. Xiaobao tilted his head and asked Mama what to write. Ningxi thought for a moment and then said, "Help me write. Once the wind and rain turn into a dragon, The dragon roar of the 9 heavens startles the heavens and changes, the wind and clouds meet and roam the 4 seas. Xiao Bao nodded, then picked up the brush and began to write. During this period of time, Xiao Bao's training had not fallen behind. His physical fitness was getting better, and the strength of his brush was also more stable and powerful. His strokes were like a swimming dragon on the back of the paper, and the calligraphy was extremely penetrating. My baby is getting better and better. Just as Ningxi was praising it, Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. Is this a gift? Ningxi was surprised. Boss, how did you know? For who? Lu Tingxiao asked again. Well, for Gong Shangzi, how about it? Isn't this sentence very suitable for him? Ningxi was feeling proud, but she didn't get an answer from Lu Tingxiao. She turned her head and saw that it was indeed someone who was jealous again. Phut, jealous? Ningxi leaned her head over with her arms. Lu Tingxiao looked at her expressionlessly. What about me? Seeing Lu Tingxiao asking for a gift like a child, Ningxi was really hopelessly moved. She couldn't help leaning over and kissing the man's thin lips. Is this okay? The man's expression was barely satisfactory. Just as he was about to take the initiative, a piece of rice paper suddenly inserted between the two of them. Xiao Bao held up the rice paper with a serious face. There were a few big words written on the rice paper, "Baby is angry." Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi couldn't stop laughing and hurriedly kissed Xiao Bao on the cheek as compensation. Sorry, baby, don't be angry. Xiao Bao was satisfied. He picked up his personal seal and continued to work. Late at night, the moon was bright and the night was as cool as water. Ningxi drank some wine, so she stayed in the villa for the night. In the middle of the night, Lu Tingxiao lifted the quilt and got up. He gently pushed open Ningxi's room. As expected, there was no one inside. Xiao Bao was not there either. Just as he was feeling anxious, the man's moonlight shone through the window and he saw a vague figure in the small garden. Lu Tingxiao picked up the blanket on the bed and hurried downstairs. The night breeze gently caressed the leaves. Under the moonlight, Lu Tingxiao saw a girl sitting on a swing with a can of wine in her hand. It's already so late, why aren't you sleeping? Lu Tingxiao quickly walked over and draped the blanket over the girl's shoulders. He also felt her hands to see if they were cold. Boss. Seeing the man, Ningxi immediately clung to him like a koala and rubbed her head against the man's neck. I'm happy. I'm so happy I can't sleep. Are you that happy? Lu Tingxiao stroked the girl's head with a helpless expression. Ningxi nodded repeatedly with an extremely serious expression. Of course I'm happy. I'm one step closer to marrying boss. Lu Tingxiao was obviously stunned. Then he coughed lightly and said calmly, well, you should be happy. Chapter 966. However, even though he looked calm, the bright light in his eyes betrayed his good mood. But no matter how happy you are, you have to sleep. It's time to go back. Lu Tingxiao took the wine bottle from the girl's hand. Ningxi opened her arms. Hug me. Lu Tingxiao naturally agreed to such a request. Lu Tingxiao carefully put her on the bed but Ningxi didn't let go. Stay with me. Lu Tingxiao hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he agreed. Ningxi lay on the bed. After a while, she opened her eyes again and looked at the man lying beside her. Mr. Boss, I'm drunk. Lu Tingxiao said, yes. Ningxi lay on the man's chest and poked him with a finger. She asked curiously, it's such a good opportunity. Why don't you take advantage of it? Lu Tingxiao held the girl's moving hand and said expressionlessly, you have to work tomorrow. Ningxi was puzzled. Is there a connection between the two? Lu Tingxiao said calmly, if I take advantage of it, you won't be able to go to work tomorrow or the day after. He meant that she wouldn't be able to get out of bed for a few days. Boss, you're so dirty. Ningxi immediately put on a look of accusation and then snorted to expose him. Isn't it because you said before that you have a principle of not accepting premarital sex? Lu Tingxiao said, did I say that? Ningxi was speechless. The next day, after work, Ningxi went straight to the studio and gave the piece of calligraphy she had asked Xiao Bao to write last night to Gong Shangzi. Thank you, boss. Gong Shangze was touched. He had mixed feelings when he saw the words, "When the wind and rain meet, it will turn into a dragon." Haha, you're welcome. I can't write this. I asked someone to do it. It was written by a great master. Keep it well and it will definitely rise in value in the future. Ningxi joked. Gong Shangze looked at it for a long time and hung it in the most conspicuous place. Seeing Ningxi coming, Qiao Weilan immediately hurried over in high heels to report to her, "Boss, in order to ensure the rights and interests of agents, the capital can only open 5 branches at most. At present, there are 3 branches, and now there are 2 places left. These are some suitable candidates I just picked out. Okay, let me have a look." Ningxi put down her bag and took the documents from Qiao Weilan's hands. Before he had time to read it, he saw another stack of documents on Qiao Weilan's desk. "Those are some of the partners who applied for agency," Qiao Weilan explained. Ningxi subconsciously picked up the file at the top and looked at the familiar name in surprise. Lu Xinyan? Yes, she is the cousin of Lu Group's president Lu Tingxiao. "Boss, have you heard of her?" Qiao Weilan asked. "I've heard about it." Ningxi nodded and said, "Why? Does she not meet our requirements?" Lu Tingxiao's cousin is qualified in terms of status. But, according to my investigation, Lu Xinyan loves to start her own business, but she has no business sense. Every time she does business, she loses everything. This is the most critical period for us. We must be careful in selecting agents. No matter how strong Lu Xinyan's background is, we can't let her play with our brand. It will affect our reputation and disrupt the market. Chapter 967. Qiao Weilan was worried that Ningxi was worried about Lu Xinyan's identity, so she explained to her. Ningxi smiled ambiguously, "That's good. I don't want to cooperate with this person either. Boss, a large number of branches are out of stock. We need to urgently transfer a batch of goods from the main store." Han Momo ran in breathlessly with the phone in her hand. "How many sets do you need?" Ningxi asked. Han Momo handed over the form in her hand, a total of 52 set. Compared with the otherworldly and retro beauty of Ziyiling haute custom, the quality of Ziyiling's ready-made clothes was also very sincere. They were strictly checked from design to material, and strictly limited the number of pieces of the same type of clothes, so that they wouldn't run out of stock. Therefore, the sales were very good. So many. Ningxi glanced at the form and found that most of the clothes were relatively expensive, which added up to a high value. Most of the employees were newly hired, so they couldn't just let others do the work. "I see. I'm free now. I'll go to the main store to transfer the goods myself." Ziyiling's main store was in the largest luxury shopping mall in the center of the capital. Not long ago, Ningxi asked Zhuang Ku'er to go shopping. When they passed by the flagship store of history, she sighed with emotion. She didn't expect that today, her store could be located in this expensive place. Ningxi called the main store in advance and told them that she was going to transfer the goods and asked them to prepare. Then she rushed to the central shopping mall with the driver. When she arrived at the shopping mall, Ningxi was walking to the main store. Unexpectedly, she met several acquaintances when she took the elevator. In the elevator, Guan Ziao was holding a noble and elegant woman intimately and talking to her with a smile. Next to the woman was a lovely girl who was also coaxing the woman. Guan Ziao, Yang Rui, Lu Xinyan. When Ningxi realized who was in the elevator, she had already stepped into the elevator. Behind her, the door of the elevator closed automatically. At the same time, the 3 people in the elevator were also stunned when they saw Ningxi. The atmosphere was a little strange. "Miss Ning, what a coincidence. We meet again." Guan Ziao was the first to speak. Guan Ziao was wearing the latest champagne-colored Prada dress suit, carrying an LV bag worth hundreds of thousands of yuan in her hand, and all the jewelry on her body was precious. Her posture was calm and elegant, as if there was no grudge or conflict between her and the person in front of her. After a brief moment of surprise, Yang Rui looked at Ningxi calmly and did not speak. "Miss Guan, Miss Lu, Mrs. Lu." Ningxi only nodded slightly as a greeting, as long as the etiquette was passable. Then she stood quietly at the side, not intending to speak more. How unlucky. I was just happily shopping. How did I end up running into this woman? Lu Xinyan held Yang Rui's arm with an unhappy expression. Lu's whisper, Ning, she looked subconsciously at her. Looking. Ning, she was surprised. Surprised, Ning, she's Yang. Yang's, Lu, she's. The ink and bird pattern dress on Lu Xinyan was obviously Zi Ling's high-end custom-made dress. Ning, she had seen it in Gong Shang's design draft and was very impressed. However, this was not the one Qiao Weilan had sent before, because Lu Xinyan was not on the list. It was probably an order made before the studio released the news that the goods were out of stock. Chapter 968. Sensing Ning Shi's gaze on her, Lu Xinyan looked a little smug. She held Yang Rui's arm and said, Auntie, I'll take you to a great clothing store later. It just opened recently, and I'm sure you'll like the style of the clothes there. Yang Rui smiled helplessly. How can I wear the clothes that you girls like? No. There are many that suit you too. Especially someone as elegant as you. Besides, you look like a little girl standing next to me and Xiao Jejia. What a glib tongue. How can you spout nonsense? Although Yang Rui said so, she was still elated. All women cared about their looks, no matter how old they were. However, to be fair, Lu Xinyan's words were not exaggerated. Compared to people of her age, Yang Rui did take good care of her looks. Auntie, Xinyan isn't joking. When I was shopping with you, I met a few acquaintances who asked me when I had a sister, Guan Xiao said with a smile. Yang Rui, who was at the side, was amused by the two girls and couldn't stop laughing. Guan Xiao seemed to be making Yang Rui happy, but in fact, she was saying it for Ning Shi to hear, a few times. This meant that Guan Xiao and Yang Rui were very close, and they often went shopping together, but I'm afraid most of the new brands are not very reliable, right? Guan Xiao said worriedly. Lu Xinyan quickly said, Sister Xiao, don't worry. Do you remember the peacock blue chipao that Mrs. Feng wore at the banquet last time? Auntie, didn't you say it was beautiful? That chipao is the brand of the family I'm talking about. A few days ago, when Miss Zhuang and General Zhuang represented the country to receive foreign VIPs, she also wore this brand. It's a pity that premium custom-made clothes can't be bought anymore. You have to book it at least 3 months in advance. But I went to the specialty store last time, and the ready-made clothes are also very good. You can wear them normally, and the main store has more styles. Really? Yang Rui was a little tempted by Lu Xinyan's words. The gown that Mrs. Feng wore last time left a deep impression on her. It was indeed very good, and it was also the style that she liked. For a member of the Zhuang family to wear such attire to attend a reception of this level, there should be some sort of guarantee. Yes, eldest aunt, just believe in my foresight. Do you think the clothes I'm wearing look good? Not bad, very nice. Right. This is one of the items I managed to snatch before I ran out of stock. The elevator slowly ascended, and as they spoke, they arrived at their destination. Ning Shi was going to Zi Ling's flagship store. Lu Xinyan, Guan Xiao and Yang Rui happened to be going there too, so the four of them got off the elevator together. Seeing that Ning Shi also got off the elevator, Lu Xinyan looked displeased, but she couldn't say anything. She just snorted and left with Yang Rui. In order to get rid of Ning Shi, Lu Xinyan deliberately pulled Yang Rui and walked very fast. Ning Shi didn't want to get too involved with them. It would be awkward if they walked together, so she deliberately fell behind. Halfway there, her phone rang. It was the manager of the main store. He told her that the goods were being transferred and asked her to wait for a while. Chapter 969. At the same time, Lu Xinyan and the other two had arrived at the store. The decoration of Ziling's store was not as antique as that of history, because Ning Shi had found that if it was purely retro, the style would inevitably be too heavy and dark. Therefore, the main color of Ziling's store was light plain, using aesthetic Chinese elements as well as simple modern decorative style, which looked very refreshing and elegant. In addition, the store also made great efforts in the rest area to provide a comfortable waiting place for men who came to shop with their girlfriends and wives. There was also a small area in the other corner specially set up as a children's play area, which was very user-friendly. After Yang Rui came in, she glanced around and saw several children playing with building blocks in the children's area in the corner. Her eyes suddenly softened, and she had a good first impression of this store. She could see that the boss was also a considerate and gentle person. Generally, stores would not waste space on this. "Miss Lu, you are here." Seeing the guests coming in, the shop assistant immediately greeted them and specially made the best tea for them. Lu Xinyan had been here last time and bought a lot of clothes. Besides, she was wearing a rare haute couture of Zealing, so the shop assistant had a deep impression of her. There were two people beside her, one in his 20s, and the other a little older. They all had extraordinary temperaments, especially the older one, who must have a distinguished identity. The shop assistant naturally did not dare to neglect them, and was more careful and attentive. "Is the manager not here?" Lu Xinyan looked around and asked. "The manager is sorting goods in the warehouse." "Miss Lu, what can I do for you?" The shop assistant asked enthusiastically. "Do you have these styles in your store?" Lu Xinyan turned on her mobile phone, clicked open the album, and showed the clothes in it to the shop assistant. The shop assistant took a look and then hurriedly said, "Yes, these styles are selling very well. At present, other branches have run out of stock, and only the main store has them. However, 2 of them just arrived in the warehouse today, and we haven't had time to hang them up yet. We planned to put new ones in tomorrow. If you need them, Miss Lu, I will go to the warehouse to get them for you." "Okay, hurry up." Lu Xinyan was very happy to know that the main store had stock. "Okay, please have some tea and take a rest," the shop assistant said and went to the warehouse to transfer the goods. Shortly after the clerk left, Ningxi pushed the door open and walked in. The store manager and one of the shop assistants had gone to the warehouse, and the other was busy entertaining other customers, so they didn't notice Ningxi's arrival. Lu Xinyan, who was showing Yang Rui clothes, saw Ningxi coming in. Seeing that Ningxi not only followed them to the same floor but also entered this shop, Lu Xinyan, who had been holding back her anger, finally couldn't stand it anymore. What's wrong with her? Lingering like a ghost. He even followed her into the store. Even if he wanted to curry favor with them, there was no need to do this. "Don't you know how annoying you are?" Lu Xinyan's voice was loud enough for Ningxi to hear. Guan Xiao tugged at Lu Xinyan. "Xiao, I'm just here to look at the clothes." "What clothes?" She clearly heard our conversation in the elevator just now, so she deliberately followed us, okay? "Do you think I'm a fool?" Lu Xinyan tugged at Yang Rui angrily. "Aunt, don't bother with such a person." Yang Rui frowned slightly. Although she didn't say anything, she couldn't help but feel uncomfortable that the other party was using such a method to get close to her. Chapter 970. Looking at Lu Xinyan's angry face, Ningxi said indifferently, "Is this shop owned by Miss Lu? Did others have to ask for her permission to come in?" Lu Xinyan froze for a moment. Then she realized what Ningxi meant and said angrily, "You, so what? Don't tell me you didn't come in here to get close to Aunt." Ningxi wanted to say something, but she just shook her head with a smile. She went straight to the rest area and sat down, closing her eyes to rest while waiting for the shop manager to bring the goods over. Last night, she had been drinking until midnight. During the day, she had been filming for a whole day. After that, she had gone to the studio and rushed here without stopping. She was already exhausted. Why should she waste her energy on extra people? Look at her. Speechless. She's just sitting there without buying any clothes. She's obviously here to make her presence known. Guan Xiao shook her head. Have you ever seen anyone trying to make their presence known? She's just waiting for someone. I've never seen it before, but now I've seen it. Lu Xinyan mumbled. Yang Rui didn't want to dwell on this matter. She patted Lu Xinyan's shoulder and said, "Let's look at the clothes." Seeing Yang Rui's displeasure, Lu Xinyan stopped talking. However, when she thought of Ningxi's words just now, she was furious. So what if she didn't open it? She had planned to open an agency store, but the other party replied that she didn't meet their requirements. It was unbelievable. As Lu Tingxiao's cousin, no one dared to disrespect her. It was just a new brand, but they dared to disrespect her. However, she really liked the design of this brand, and she felt that she wouldn't make a mistake this time. She definitely wouldn't lose out again, so she didn't give up. By the way, Aunt, look at this one. It's very suitable for you. I found it when I came here last time. Fortunately, it hasn't been sold yet. Although it looks good, it's very picky. I think only you can wear it. Looking at the beautiful cheongsam embroidered with a large begonia, Yang Rui's eyes flashed with amazement. Yes, it's good. Yes, yes. Aunt, I'll give it to you. I don't even need to try it on to know that you'll look good in it. Lu Xinyan asked another shop assistant to help her wrap up the clothes. Little girl, don't tell me you have something to ask of me. Yang Rui couldn't help but laugh, caressing that dress. She really liked it. Lu Xinyan shook Yang Rui's arm and said tentatively, Auntie, you're too smart. Actually, I do have a small matter that I need your help with. I was wondering why you were trying so hard to please me today. What is it now? Yang Rui teased. That's right. Actually, I wanted to open a Zealing's representative shop, but the other party rejected me. He even told me that I'm not suitable for it. I have money and resources, so what's wrong with me? Why are you thinking about managing a clothing store again? Yang Rui felt a headache coming on. Xin Yang, listen to your father and be a spoiled princess. Or you can go to Ting Xiao's company and ask him to arrange a stable position for you. Isn't that great? I don't want to, I just like doing business. Auntie, please help me beg my cousin. As long as he says the word, everything will be settled. Lu Xinyan said coquettishly. Yang Rui looked helpless. Xin Yang, it's not that Auntie doesn't want to help you, but I can't really say anything to your cousin. Why don't you try asking him yourself? There were so many relatives in the family. If anyone went to look for Ting Xiao for the slightest matter, wouldn't Ting Xiao be overworked? Therefore, she would reject such requests as much as possible. She wouldn't bother her son, even if it was Lu Xinyan. When Lu Xinyan heard that, she immediately drooped her head, looking like she still had a lingering fear. How would I dare to go to him by myself? He's obsessed with that woman, and I accidentally offended that woman last time. Maybe that woman whispered something in my cousin's ear, and my cousin is still holding a grudge against me. Sister Xiao, why don't you help me talk to my cousin? Chapter 971. Since Yang Rui refused, she obviously didn't want to trouble Lu Tingxiao. Guan Xiao couldn't go against Yang Rui and help Lu Xinyan. Compared to Lu Xinyan, Yang Rui was more important. Therefore, Lu Xinyan advised, Xiao, your cousin is very busy these days. Don't bother him with this. Hearing Guan Xiao's answer, Yang Rui was obviously satisfied with her. However, Lu Xinyan was obviously not happy. Guan Xiao thought for a while and continued, but it's not like there's no way. Although I'm not familiar with this country, I can help you ask my friend if he can talk to the person in charge of Zealing. That's great. Sister Xiao likes you the most. Lu Xinyan cheered. You. Wait, I'll make a call for you. But don't get your hopes up. It might not work. Sister Xiao, it will definitely work. Guan Xiao walked to the corner of the shop facing the window and flipped through the phone book. Finally, she dialed Mo Lingtian's number. Among her friends in the country, Mo Lingtian had the widest social network and connections. Hello, Lingtian, hello. Xiao. You're looking for me? Mo Lingtian's joyful voice came from the other end of the phone. After all, Guan Xiao rarely called him. Lingtian, I have something I need your help with. Is it convenient for you? Of course. How can it not be convenient for you? What is it? Just say the word and I'll do it for you. Of course. It's not about me. Xin Yang wants to be the agent of a brand called Zealing, but they didn't pass the review. I just came back to China and don't know many people, so I was wondering if you could help me find some connections. Ah. So it's Xin Yang. Mo Lingtian's tone suddenly lowered a few degrees. Lu Xinyan was a member of the Lu family. Guan Xiao was so concerned about Lu Xinyan. Was there a need to ask who she was doing this for? If it's not convenient for you, then, Mo Lingtian interrupted her. It's not inconvenient. Wait for me. I'll ask for you. Thank you. Guan Ziao said gratefully. If you can get in touch, tell them money is not a problem. All right, I got it. You don't have to be so polite with me. After Mo Lingtian hung up the phone, the indifferent look on his face was immediately replaced by loneliness, and bitterness spread from the corner of his mouth. When had he ever had the heart to reject her request, even though he knew she was doing it for another man? After calming himself down, Mo Lingtian immediately sent someone to inquire about Ziyi Ling's situation. In the end, this small studio was quite mysterious. The designer used an anonymous code name, ZX, and no one knew who the boss behind the scenes was. In the end, he had to use some private means to investigate further. After all, the Mo family was best at intelligence gathering, so it was very easy for them to investigate this matter. With this check, he was dumbfounded. Holy shit! Ziyi Ling's boss was actually that little rabbit. From the information he had gathered, Ziyi Ling's studio was a dark horse in the fashion industry, and its momentum was catching up to history, which had a huge international impact. He was becoming more and more unable to understand this little rabbit. Since it was Guan Ziao's request, Mo Lingtian did not dare to delay. He immediately called Ning Shi after checking. Chapter 972. At the same time, Ning Shi, who was sleeping in the lounge, was woken up by her cell phone ringing. He looked at his phone. It was an unfamiliar number. Ning Shi picked it up. Hello, who's this? Hello, it's me, Mo Lingtian. Do you remember that I'm not a bunny? Oh, Master Mo, of course. In the shopping area, Guan Ziao heard Ning Shi say Master Mo. She looked a bit strange but didn't pay much attention to it. Hehe, that's good. Mo Lingtian said in a flattering tone, Bunny, you're awesome. I heard that you're Ziyi Ling's boss. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows in surprise and sat up straight. How did you know? Did Lu Tingxiao tell you? You don't need to know. I want to ask you for a favor, Boss Ning. Can you do me a favor? Just for the sake of Lu Tingxiao. I'm Lu Tingxiao's best friend. What is it? Ning Shi asked. Well, I'll make it short. Xin Yang wants to represent your brand, but she hasn't passed the review yet. Can you make an exception for her? After all, she's Lu Tingxiao's cousin. Ha! A meaningful chuckle came from the other end of the phone. Mo Lingtian got goosebumps. What's wrong, Boss Ning? Is there a problem? Ning Shi took a look at Lu Xinyan and Guan Ziao in the shopping area not far away, lowered her voice, and said quietly, I'm just a little surprised. I didn't know that Child Mo is such an infatuated man. He really works hard to coax Beauty Guan. You know she's doing it for another man, but you still help her without any regrets. Mo Lingtian, who was on the other end of the phone, was dumbfounded. How did you know? He didn't mention Guan Ziao at all. No matter how I know, I can't agree to this, whether for public or private reasons. Ning Shi refused him directly. Why? Money is not a problem, just take it as helping your brothers. Ning Shi rolled her eyes. Our studio has rules. Those who don't meet the requirements can't be our agent. Privately, Guan Ziao has done so much to get close to my boyfriend. Am I stupid enough to agree? Mo Lingtian, he had kicked an iron plate. He didn't expect this little rabbit to know everything. That was amazing. Originally, this kind of problem could be solved as long as one had connections and money, but in this kind of situation, it was obvious that money would be useless. Not long after Ning Shi hung up Mo Lingtian's call, Guan Ziao's cell phone rang. How is it? Did your friend call you back? Pick it up. Lu Xinyan said excitedly. Guan Ziao smiled and nodded. Yes, don't worry, I'll take it now. Hello. Guan Ziao answered the phone. Hearing Mo, Guan Ziao as she heard she's words. Naturally, Mo Lingtian couldn't tell her the truth. He only said that the other party didn't give in because they couldn't break the rules. Okay, I got it. It's okay. Sorry to bother you. This can't be helped. Thank you. Guan Ziao said a few words casually and hung up the phone. I'm sorry, Xin Yang. It's still not possible. Hearing this, Lu Xinyan immediately drooped her head in disappointment. However, after a while, she still comforted Guan Ziao. Forget it, Sister Ziao. I know this studio. It's really a little difficult to deal with. I'll think of another way later. Humph, the more you don't let me represent you, the more I want to represent you. Seeing Lu Xinyan like this, Yang Rui looked amused and helpless. I wonder when you'll change your stubbornness. Chapter 973. Probably because there were a lot of goods, the shop assistant who went to get the clothes in the warehouse took a long time and didn't come back yet. During this period, Ningxi had been sitting in a secluded rest area and had no intention of leaving. Lu Xinyan looked in Ningxi's direction and immediately transferred her anger for failing to act as the agent to Ningxi. She said angrily, Sister Xiao, Aunt, now you believe that she deliberately followed us, right? Why would she wait for someone for so long? And there are so many places, such as a milk tea shop, a coffee shop or a restaurant. Why did she have to sit here and wait for someone? This time, even Guan Xiao didn't speak. Her intuition told her that Ningxi wouldn't use such a blunt method to get close to them, but then she thought it was understandable. After all, for a woman like Ningxi, it was hard to get close to the Lu family's parents, not to mention flattering her. It was understandable that she wanted to find a chance to be obedient in front of Yang Rui, but she didn't know what this woman was going to do next if she kept following them. After several lessons from her superiors, Guan Xiao was nervous and didn't dare to take it lightly. Lu Xinyan had a fiery temper. She couldn't bear it anymore and walked quickly to the rest area where Ningxi was. Woman, have you had enough? Are you addicted to following me? Does my brother know that you are so shameless? You came to the clothing store but didn't buy clothes. Instead, you sat here and slept. Do you think this is your home? Do you have to be so thick-skinned? Ningxi felt a headache coming on. She looked up coldly and said, Have you had enough? Seeing Ningxi's arrogant attitude, Lu Xinyan was even more furious. She was about to go all out and scold her when there was a series of messy footsteps behind her. The shop assistant who went to get the clothes came in first. Sorry, the warehouse is a bit messy. Sorry to keep you waiting. Miss Lu, all the clothes you wanted are here. Lu Xinyan's attention was diverted and she hurried to look at the clothes. Following behind the shop assistant was the head store manager that Lu Xinyan knew. There were also a few other male employees, each carrying a stack of clothes. Miss Lu, you're here. I'm sorry, I'm really busy today. Our boss came to the store to transfer goods, so I couldn't entertain you personally. If you need anything, just let little Zhao know. The store manager greeted Lu Xinyan politely, expressing her apology. Lu Xinyan revealed a doubtful expression. Ziling's boss. She had been in the shop for so long, but she didn't see anyone who looked like the owner. There were only a few customers coming in and out, and a busy little shop assistant. Ziling's boss seemed to be quite mysterious. When she was informed that the agent's review had not passed, she originally proposed to talk to the boss directly over the phone, and then continued to call several times. However, the answer she got every time was that the boss was very busy, and she had not been able to meet him until now. Therefore, Lu Xinyan was quite curious when she heard what the store manager said. She really wanted to meet this boss. Store manager, is the boss here already? Why didn't I see it? It just so happens that I have some cooperation matters to discuss with your boss. Lu Xinyan looked at the store manager and asked. Chapter 974. The store manager hurriedly looked around the store but didn't find her. Boss said she's already in the store. I'll call her. Ah, boss, you're here. The store manager, who was about to make a call, put down her cell phone and looked at Ningxi, who was walking towards her from the corner of the lounge area. She hurriedly said, Boss, all the goods you need have been transferred out. Please check them. Oh, by the way, Miss Lu seems to have something to talk to you about. After saying that, the manager did not forget to introduce Lu Xinyan. Miss Lu, this is our boss. If you have anything to say, just tell her directly. What? As soon as the store manager finished speaking, not only Lu Xinyan, but also Guan Xiao and Yang Rui were astonished. What did the store manager mean? Their boss was Ningxi? No, wait. Store manager, what did you say? Are you saying that this woman is your boss? Yes. Seeing Lu Xinyan's shocked expression, The store manager thought she was surprised to see Ning Shi so young and beautiful. To be honest, she was also shocked for a long time when she saw her boss for the first time. So the store manager explained with a smile, "Our boss usually keeps a low profile and is too busy, so few people have seen her. Miss Lu, you came at the right time. Our boss just happened to come to the main store to transfer goods today. Otherwise, even we wouldn't have seen our boss." Ning Shi was Ziyi Ling's boss. The reason why she had been sitting there since she entered the store was to wait for the goods to be transferred. Hearing the store manager's words, Lu Xinyan's face alternated between green and white, like a horse lantern. Yang Rui, who had thought that Ning Shi was here for her, was extremely embarrassed and surprised. She didn't expect that the boss of this shop, which she thought was very good, was this woman. Guan Xiao frowned secretly and suddenly thought of a detail. She heard Ning Shi say Master Mo on the phone just now. Was she talking to Mo Lingtian on the phone just now? No wonder even Mo Lingtian couldn't make her agree. Who would have thought that Ziyi Ling's boss was this woman? No matter how vigilant she was, no matter how careful she was, she couldn't have expected this result. I didn't expect Miss Ning to be Ziyi Ling's boss. She's so young and promising, Guan Xiao said. You're too polite, Miss Guan. Please take your time. As for Miss Lu, I believe Director Qiao has already explained it to you. Ning Shi was about to continue her work when Lu Xinyan shouted from behind, Ning Shi, stop. I knew it. So it was you. You're the one who deliberately stopped me from representing you, aren't you? You're clearly abusing your position to avenge a personal grudge. Ning Shi didn't want to pay attention, but with so many employees here, she had to make a statement. So, he turned around and looked at Lu Xinyan. Miss Lu, I would like to ask you a question. If you didn't have the name Lu Tingxiao, do you think any business partners would be willing to work with you after seeing your record of 10 defeats? If she didn't have Lu Tingxiao's name and the Lu family's background, Lu Xinyan didn't know what to say. Ziling is just on the right track. I'm sorry, I really can't give it to Miss Lu as a dispensable practice. Chapter 975. With that, Ning Shi looked at Lu Xinyan, who was biting her lip with an embarrassed look. She paused and then continued, but I can see that Miss Lu really likes our brand. Thank you very much for your love and support. If Miss Lu really wants to represent Ziling, if you can show us your sincerity, the door of Ziling will always be open to you. Goodbye. After saying this, Ning Shi turned around and left. What's the big deal? I don't care. It's just a lousy brand. Lu Xinyan was shocked by Ning Shi's words, but she couldn't admit it. She lost control and cursed. No one had ever dared to say such words in front of her, and it was this hateful woman. Didn't her words imply that if she lost the protection of her family, she would be worthless? Yang Rui looked at Lu Xinyan and shook her head with disapproval on her face. Xinyan, that lass's words aren't unreasonable. If you really want to achieve something, then don't always slack off. Treat it seriously and focus on one thing. Otherwise, don't bother yourself with this and that. The Lu family doesn't need a girl like you to show her face in public. I don't want to. I don't believe I can't do it. Lu Xinyan ran out of the door angrily. Guan Xiao and Yang Rui hurried to chase her, but failed to catch up with her. Alas, she's still young and immature. She's too capricious. Yang Rui sighed. Thinking that Ning Shi was only a few years older than Lu Xinyan, but had already established her own brand, Yang Rui couldn't help sighing with emotion. What happened today made her have a whole new level of respect for that woman. She thought that the woman only relied on her face to survive in the entertainment industry, but she didn't expect that the woman was different from what she knew. What she said to Xin Yang just now was also true, but this identity was really a pity. Seeing Yang Rui's gaze fell on Ning Shi in the shop, Guan Xiao was surprised. She held Yang Rui's arm and walked forward, saying, Auntie, it's good that Xinyan wants to do this. If she sticks to it, maybe she'll really make some achievements. Don't I know her well? I really don't have the talent. But Xin Yang seems to be quite sad. Actually, Ziling doesn't look that good. I heard some bad rumors about Ziling's designer plagiarizing another brand, History. Why don't I contact History for Xin Yang and ask them to represent this brand? history is internationally famous, much higher than Zi Ling. Yang Rui patted her hand. It's been hard on you to worry about her, Auntie, you're too polite. It's just a small matter. Furthermore, Xin Yang is also my friend. As Guan Ziao spoke, countless thoughts flashed through her mind. She suddenly realized that unknowingly, without her noticing, that woman had already grown stronger step by step. She had even changed Yang Rui's mind bit by bit, from using Xiaobao to today's matter. Originally, she had thought that it would be a fair competition, and she wouldn't need to use any tricks to deal with this kind of woman. But now, she was a little flustered. After Lu Xinyan and the others left, the store manager and the employees looked worried. Boss, Lu Xinyan has a strong background. Is it really okay? Ning she counted the goods and said casually, don't worry. As your boss, I have a strong background. Chapter 976. At night, in a high-class villa district. Xiao, why are you looking so down? What unhappy thing did he encounter? Didn't you go shopping with Auntie Lu today? Guan Rui asked when he saw his daughter sitting on the sofa in the living room in a daze. She didn't look too good. Guan Xiao snapped back to reality and said with a frown, Father, I met that woman when I was shopping with Auntie Lu today. I found out that she's the boss of a clothing brand that's been in the limelight recently and is even supported by the country. Guan Rui smiled nonchalantly. That's it. I thought it was a big deal and that Lu Tingxiao must be helping her behind the scenes. Otherwise, how could an actress like her be so capable? But I didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to go this far for her. It's as if he's preparing for her to marry into his family. Otherwise, why would he try so hard to raise her value? Guan Rui's face darkened at the thought of this. We can't let that woman continue to be so arrogant. Guan Xiao looked worried. Father, what are you going to do? Lu Tingxiao is so protective of that woman that even Auntie Lu and Uncle Lu don't dare to touch her. After spending some time with Yang Rui, she had heard a lot about that woman from her. She found out that the filial Lu Tingxiao had disobeyed his family many times for that woman, and even quarreled with Lu Chongshan several times. She couldn't believe it. Don't worry, I don't need to do anything. She's a woman who flaunts her beauty and mingles in the entertainment industry. She can't believe it. Guan Rui snorted disdainfully. Guan Xiao realized what her father meant and frowned. Father, you mean, but she's already fawning over Lu Tingxiao. Why would she bother with other men? With Lu Tingxiao as her backing, she doesn't need to sleep with him. She didn't think that woman was that stupid and easy to deal with. Guan Rui shook his head and said, Xiao, you're still too naive. There's no limit to a person's greed, especially a woman who's been living at the bottom of society since she was young. She's even more greedy, despicable, and fickle. No matter how hard she tries to hide, there'll be a day when she'll give herself away. Father, you mean, you've discovered something? Guan Xiao asked tentatively. Guan Rui smiled confidently. Don't worry, Father will take care of this matter. You just need to spend more time with your Aunt Lu, lest they still hold a grudge because of what happened at the birthday banquet. Got it. Guan Xiao nodded and fell into deep thought. In the beginning, because of her pride, she didn't want to use any tricks on that woman. She also felt that it was impossible for her to lose. However, gradually, she found that things were getting out of her control. Lu Tingxiao's attitude towards that woman had repeatedly subverted her understanding. In her memory, the man who was so calm and wise, the only man who could stand shoulder to shoulder with her, was actually bewitched by such a vulgar and lowly woman. She couldn't accept this no matter what. In the end, Guan Xiao finally convinced herself that there was no need to talk about morality with this kind of person. She must wake Lu Tingxiao up and let him return to the person she knew. Chapter 977. While Ziyiling's business was in full swing, the crew was also progressing smoothly. The second female lead, Jian Shu, who had been delayed because of the dance competition, also joined the crew. She was a ballet dancer and had good looks, temperament, and acting skills. As for Shun Hanchen and Qi Fang, ever since they had seen Ning Shi in women's clothes, their attitudes towards her had improved. They cooperated with her and didn't deliberately pick on her. Unknowingly, the filming had come to an end, and the schedule was shortened by 2 months. Shin Mi-on was overjoyed. That morning, as soon as Ningxi arrived at the set, she bounced up to Ku Mingyu and handed him a pink bag. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. I brought you breakfast. Looking up at the breakfast his wife had given him, Ku Mingyu looked gentle. Thank you, senior. Oh, and milk. Take it. Nourish your body. Ningxi handed him a carton of strawberry milk. Senior, where's mine? Where's mine? Why only Mingyu has it? Senior, you're so biased. You only bring breakfast for Mingyu every day. Qi Fang's resentful voice came from behind. Because Cuckoo caught a snake for me. Ningxi looked at Qi Fang and said meaningfully. Qi Fang clutched his chest, indicating that he had suffered a blow to his heart. He was so angry. All his hard work had gone to others. He had worked so hard to catch that snake, but Ku Mingyu had taken advantage of it. If he had known this would happen, he would have saved the damsel in distress. What's wrong? You don't need saving at all. But thinking about it carefully, Senior's attitude towards Ku Mingyu seemed to have changed since the day Ku Mingyu caught the snake for her. Not long after breakfast, Ningxi bounced up to Ku Mingyu again. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Come here and practice with me. Okay. Ku Mingyu nodded. Senior, it's not fair. Why do you only practice with Ku Mingyu? Qi Fang scurried over from the corner again. His resentment almost materialized. Ningxi said matter-of-factly, because Cuckoo is not a professional. As a senior, I have to take care of him. Qi Fang almost broke down and scratched his head. Senior, don't you think you're blind? Other than you, his acting skills are the best in the cast. Also, why did you call him Cuckoo, but not me Chi? You can also let it go. Ningxi blinked. Chichi, let go, that sounds awful. Qi Fang, who was despised, covered his face and ran away in tears. It was too creepy. He didn't care about Shen Hanchen. Ji Yuming and Jian Shu were girls, but why was Ku Mingyu more favored than him? Ku Mingyu was clearly not as handsome as him. Ji Yuming rested her chin on her hand and muttered, Big brother Shi, you really are too biased towards Ku Mingyu. Even I'm jealous. Ha 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 tilde sigh, it's his fault for being so miserable in the drama. I can only treat him better in reality. Ningxi said with a smile. Who asked him to be my boyfriend? Hehe. Shen Mi-on watched from the side as the group of young people got along well with each other. Her heart was filled with emotion, and she felt as if she had returned to the time 10 years ago when she first started filming. Seeing that the props for the set were almost ready, Shen Mi-on clapped her hands. Everyone, get ready. We're about to start filming. Okay, director, coming. Chapter 978. 3, 2, 1. Action. In this scene, there are 1 male, 2 male, 3 male, 1 female, 2 female, 3 female. All 6 main leads are present. Furthermore, this scene is also the highlight of the entire drama. Thus, in order to shoot a better effect, Shen Mi-on intentionally pushed back this scene to now and waited for everyone to get used to each other before starting to shoot. Setting: KTV private room characters: Sai Xia, Ji Feishue, Lin Yu, Yun Sen Li, Jiang Xiaohai, Ji Yumeng. Plot. With the help of the female lead, Ji Feishue, Sai Xia finally successfully wooed the goddess Yun Sen Li and confirmed their relationship. Today is Yun Sen Li's birthday and Sai Xia invited his friends to celebrate for her. Ha 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 tilde this cup of wine is to our birthday girl Yun Sen Li and Sai Xia. I wish the two of you to be of love forever and have a son soon. Jiang Xiaohai raised his wine cup and teased. Yun Sen Li was slightly embarrassed by Jiang Xiaohai's words while Sai Xia laughed and hammered Jiang Xiaohai's shoulder. What nonsense are you saying? That's right, that's right. Shouldn't you guys give a toast to your matchmaker? Jiang Xiaohai looked at Ji Feishue's direction and jeered. After all, Sai Xia's EQ is negative and it was all because of Ji Feishue that he was able to woo the goddess. Hearing that, Yun Sen Li and Sai Xia's expression faltered for a moment. This seemingly joyous birthday party is actually a turbulent undercurrent as everyone has their own thoughts. In reality, Yunsen Li fell in love at first sight with Ji Feishue, who confessed on Sai Xia's behalf and even directly told Ji Feishue her feelings. But Ji Feishue deeply loved Sai Xia and rejected Yunsen Li without any leeway. Yunsen Li only agreed to date Sai Xia to take revenge on Ji Feishue. At the same time, Sai Xia had already gradually discovered his strange feelings towards Ji Feishue. In order to escape the fact that he liked a man, he immediately started dating Yunsen Li. At the same time, he thought that his good brother Ji Feishue also liked Yunsen Li. Regarding this, he actually did not know if he should be jealous of Yunsen Li or Ji Feishue. As for Lin Yu, he viewed everyone's secret as an outsider and also guarded his own secret. For this scene, everyone's acting must be on point. As long as one person is unable to keep up, there will be repeated ings. Thus, the difficulty is very high. There were a few ings in the beginning, but the filming continued. Looking at Sai Xia and Yunsen Li, who were passionately in love, Ji Feishue kept smiling happily as she drank wine and gave her blessings to the two of them. It was as if she was the happiest one today. However, the sorrow in her eyes had already spread into the ocean. In the corner, Lin Yu's gaze had always been on Ji Feishue, and the depths of his eyes were unfathomable. Ji Feishue was getting drunk. She staggered to the high stool in the middle and ordered the onion. If your eyes could descend for me for a moment, if you could hear the sound of my heart breaking, if you could silently protect me, if you could silently wait for a miracle, if you could silently let yourself be like air. Everyone is eating, chatting, and laughing. Tonight is such a happy night. I'm in the corner, laughing so well. The onion at the bottom of the plate is like me, always a seasoning, secretly watching you, secretly hiding myself. If you're willing to peel away my heart layer by layer, you'll find that you'll be surprised. You're my most repressed, deepest secret. I'm just an onion, forever a supporting character. I hope that I can have one more second with you, an exclusive plot. This song was like a sharp sword that pierced through everyone's disguise. Chapter 979. After singing, Ji Feishue rushed out of the room uncontrollably. The person who followed closely behind was actually Yunsen Senli. Yunsen Qianli thought that Ji Feishue also likes her and thought that he sang this song for her. She thought that he let her go because of his brotherly relationship with Sai Xia. The scene changed, and the camera followed the actors to the hallway of the KTV. Fei Bai. Yin Qianli stumbled over and plucked up her courage to hug Ji Feishue from behind. Ji Feishue's body stiffened. She knew she should push her away. However, at this moment, his body was completely out of control. She slowly turns around and hugs Yun Qianli. After that, Sai Xia, who had chased after them from the private room, happened to see this scene. When he saw his good brother hugging his girlfriend, his pupils suddenly shrank. Ji Feibai. What do you mean? Ji Feishue's eyes were emotionless as she quietly looked at him. Sai Xia, tonight, you didn't even look at me once. Now, you finally look at me. What? Sai Xia was shocked by Ji Feishue's gaze. Ji Feishue stared fixedly at the man in front of her. The desperate emotions in her eyes became more and more turbulent. She slowly opened her mouth and said, "A dragon that doesn't know how to write letters. If it misses the night, it will kidnap the princess so that the night can see it." Sai Xia's expression changed. What do you mean? Ji Feishue's eyes looked as if something had broken out of a cage. What I mean is, Sai Xia, I like you. In that instant, Sai Xia's shock, Yun Qianli's disbelief, Qi Fang's sluggishness, Ji Yumeng's sigh, and Lin Yu's fated grief, Ka. Very good. Pass. Shen Mian yelled excitedly. The director had already called for a break, but Shen Hanchen, Qi Fang, Ji Yumeng, and Jian Shu were still immersed in the scene. Only Ning Shi and Ku Mingyu instantly stopped acting, their expressions returning to normal. Qi Fang patted his chest and said, "Fuck. This scene was so fucking awesome." Ji Yumeng nodded repeatedly. Especially Brother Shi, his eyes are amazing. Han Chen was also very powerful today. However, what shocked me the most was still Ku Mingyu. He didn't even have a single line in this scene, but it made my heart ache. Ji Yumeng wasn't the only one who felt this way. Xiao Dao, makeup artist Yi Qiu, and a few other workers were huddled together and whispering excitedly. It's over, it's over. I found that I like the second male lead Lin Yu more and more. What should I do? Me too, me too. I really hope that the heroine can be with Lin Yu. Lin Yu is too pitiful. He's done so much for the female lead, but the female lead only has the male lead in her eyes. My heart aches so much. Moreover, I somehow feel that Brother Shi and Ku Mingyu are a good match. Why? Ha 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 ha, you're not alone. Shen Mion was in a good mood as she watched the video. Everyone is doing well, and we're making good progress. Starting tomorrow, all of you will have 2 days off. Everyone cheered. Shun Hanchen was holding a book in his hand. He was looking for Ningxi, but he didn't see her. Ku Mingyu also disappeared at the same time. Shun Hanchen's eyes couldn't help but dim a little. Ever since he saw Ningxi in women's clothing, his eyes had been following her uncontrollably. Gradually, he realized that the way Ningxi looked at Ku Mingyu was very different. It wasn't the first time that the two of them disappeared at the same time, coupled with Ningxi's special attitude towards Ku Mingyu. Although there was no concrete evidence, everything seemed to point in one direction. However, he didn't want to believe it. Whether it was in terms of family background or appearance, between him and Ku Mingyu, how could she fall for Ku Mingyu and not him? Chapter 980. In the empty lounge. Ningxi blocked Ku Mingyu behind the door and was about to tiptoe to kiss him. What are you doing? Ku Mingyu raised his eyebrows and avoided her kiss. Ningxi puffed up her cheeks unhappily. To comfort your broken heart, of course. The man chuckled. Stop it. This is the set. Be careful. Ningxi was speechless. It had only been a few days. He was even more dedicated than her. How is that possible? Our crew is so low-key and we don't have any big names. Which idiot paparazzi would come here to dig up news? Kiss. Kiss. Ningxi jumped up and down. The man had no choice but to bend down. Good boy, I only like you. Ningxi patted the man's head and kissed his cheek as if she was comforting a child. The man laughed. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm just filming. Although he would occasionally lose control when he saw her and Shen Hanchen's scenes, ever since he personally experienced the process of filming and saw how serious and focused she was, he was gradually able to separate filming from reality and control his emotions. Ningxi looked up at the arrogant man in front of her. Seeing the changes he had made for her, she had an indescribable feeling. Darling, I must have saved the world in my previous life to meet you in this life. Ningxi vowed. Then I must have been by your side in my previous life and saved the world with you. Ding. The devil's sweet talk skill was online. In the evening, at the Guan family's villa. Guan Xiao pushed open the door of the study. Father, what's up? Xiao, come here. Let me show you something. Guan Rui was smiling. He seemed to be in a good mood. What? Guan Xiao walked over, puzzled. Guan Rui pushed the laptop in front of her. Look at this. Was it the one her father had mentioned? Guan Xiao glanced at Guan Rui, then walked over nervously. Guan Xiao was stunned when she glanced at the laptop. There was a photo on the screen. The woman in the photo had a sweet smile on her face and was kissing a man on her tiptoes. The man and woman looked very intimate. The photo was clear. The woman in the photo was Ningxi, but the man in the photo was not Lu Tingxiao. This. After seeing this photo, Guan Xiao's eyes widened in disbelief, and then she hurriedly pressed the mouse to continue scrolling. The rest of the photos were all of Ningxi and this strange man. The two of them were very intimate. Obviously, this was not the first time they had an affair. Guan Xiao was in disbelief. How could this be? Guan Rui snorted coldly. There's nothing strange about it. I've said it before. This kind of woman is fickle and restless. She'll definitely give herself away one day. Guan Ziyao's face was full of anger. This is too much. Lu Tingxiao treated her so well. How could she do such a shameless thing? Guan Xiao looked at the photos over and over again. What she felt was more relief than anger. The uneasiness and gloom of the past few days had all disappeared at this moment. It was over. She knew that with these photos, Ningxi would be finished. Even if Lu Tingxiao was mesmerized by her, No man would be able to accept his girlfriend doing such a thing behind his back. Chapter 981. What are you going to do with these photos, father? Guan Xiao asked. Guan Rui pondered for a moment and analyzed the situation. I was going to hand them over to the major news agencies to expose them and ruin that woman's reputation. However, after some consideration, I decided that it wasn't necessary. Given Lu Tingxiao's ability, he will definitely find out that we did it. If he finds out, we will expose his scandals and it will make him angry. After all, this concerns a man's reputation. Guan Xiao nodded. Yes, I don't want him to be embarrassed. So, I suggest that you give these photos to him openly. Then, you can tell him that I sent someone to check it. As for that woman, do you think she will have a good ending when Lu Tingxiao sees these photos? I understand, father. I'll contact Lu Tingxiao now. Okay, go ahead. At the same time, at the Platinum Palace. Lu Tingxiao was working in the study when Ning Shi, who had been busy in the kitchen, knocked on the door with a bowl of soup. Boss, it's time for supper. During this time, Lu Tingxiao not only had to deal with the company's affairs, but he also had to film. Ning Shi felt sorry for him, so she came to cook for him every day and made supper for him every night. As a result, during this period of time, not only did Lu Tingxiao not lose any weight, he even gained some weight. His complexion was abnormally rosy, and he looked radiant every day. Even Xiaobao had gained quite a bit of weight from Ning Shi's feeding. What is it today? Lu Tingxiao asked as he put down the document in his hand. Ning Shi looked like she was presenting a treasure. Ginseng and deer antler chicken soup. It's very nutritious. Drink it. As soon as she opened the lid, the room was filled with an alluring aroma. Lu Tingxiao was taken aback. His expression was indescribable. Deer antler, Ning Shi seemed to realize something. Deer antler seems to have aphrodisiac properties. I don't care. It's very nutritious anyway. Anything is nutritious. You just need to drink it quickly. I've been working so hard. You've worked so hard during this period of time. You must properly nourish yourself. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. I don't think I need to nourish myself in some ways. This was a matter of a man's ability. Hey, just ignore the deer antler. There's still ginseng and chicken. Ning Shi personally scooped a spoonful and fed it to him. Are you going to be responsible for the consequences? Lu Tingxiao gave her a meaningful look. Ning Shi's face stiffened. There won't be any consequences, right? As the two of them were talking, Lu Tingxiao's phone lit up. There was a new message. Ning Shi's sharp eyes caught the name Guan Xiao. Lu Tingxiao also saw it from the corner of his eyes. He didn't hide it from Ning Shi and directly clicked open the message in front of her. The message read, Lu Tingxiao, I'm very sorry. My father hid something from me and found out that Miss Ning had an affair with a male actor from the same production team. I hesitated for a long time, but I still feel like I need to tell you. I know you won't believe me, but I've already sent it to your email. If you have time, take a look. After reading the text, Ning Shi blinked her eyes. I had an affair with a male actor in the same crew? Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 982. Ning Shi subconsciously glanced at Lu Tingxiao, only to see that there was no emotion on the man's face. After reading it, he put the phone aside and began to drink the soup. Hey, Lu Tingxiao, don't you check your email? Ning Shi asked, holding her chin. No. Why? It's not necessary. What do you mean? It's absolutely necessary, because I'm dying of curiosity. Look at it. Ning Shi sat on Lu Tingxiao's lap and urged him. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her helplessly and clicked on his email. Sure enough, there was a new email. The sender was Guan Xiao and there was a compressed attachment. He didn't know if it was a photo or a document. Hurry up and download it, Ning Shi urged. Lu Tingxiao clicked the mouse and downloaded the attachment to his computer. The internet speed was fast and it was downloaded in a few seconds. Then he unzipped it. A folder appeared on the desktop. He clicked on it and glanced at the pictures. They were all densely packed photos. Ning she couldn't stand Lu Tingxiao's slow movements. She put her hand over his and clicked on one of the photos. Then, in an instant, both of their expressions became indescribable. Ning she touched her forehead. I knew it. Lu Tingxiao looked displeased. I told you not to mess around. Ahem, I'm not messing around. It's not the paparazzi who took the photos. It's your childhood sweetheart who grew up with you, okay? Besides, we did it secretly every time. If someone hadn't been watching us 24/7, we would never have been discovered. Ning she said as she flipped through the photos happily. Hey, you don't say, it's really not bad. The light. The angle. You even took this picture of me secretly kissing you. There's also a picture of me secretly sticking a straw in your head. Ha ha ha. Aya, there's also this picture of me pinning you against the wall. I'm so shy. Lu Tingxiao, hurry up and send me a copy. Hurry up. These photos were all of Ning Shi and Ku Mingyu, that is, Lu Tingxiao. No wonder she was having an affair with a male actor in the crew. There's nothing wrong with it, it's really common. However, thinking about it, Ning Shi felt that something was wrong. She snorted, squinted at Lu Tingxiao and said faintly, your sweetheart who grew up with you and is close to you seems to care about you very much, huh? Seeing Ning Shi's jealous expression, Lu Tingxiao enjoyed it very much. He put his arm around her waist and asked, are you jealous? Don't change the topic. I also heard that because your IQ was too high at that time, you couldn't get along with anyone your age. Only Guan Ziao could talk to you, so you had the best relationship with her, right? Do you like her type? Do you like smart women like Guan Ziao? Ning she was angry. Lu Tingxiao said in all seriousness, no, I like the dumb ones. Who's stupid? You're the dumb one. Ning Shi's hair stood on end. She climbed down from his lap and took the tonic soup away. I'm confiscating it. No more. Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl's back as she ran away. He glanced at his lower body and his eyes darkened. She ran away fast. A cell phone rang. The caller ID was Mo Lingtian. Lu Tingxiao picked it up. Hello. Hello, Lu Tingxiao, why do you sound so strange? As a man, he shivered. What's up? You're in a bad mood. Come out and have a drink with me, Mo Lingtian said weakly. Chapter 983. He had waited so long for Zi Yarrow to call him yesterday, but she did it because of Lu Tingxiao. Also, during this period of time, he had tried to follow Lu Tingxiao's method one by one, but there was no progress at all. The ultimate reason was that he could not be cold in front of Zi Yarrow. In short, he was so tired. I'm not free. Lu Tingxiao rejected him as usual. Not free? What are you busy with? Mo Lingtian asked in a muffled voice. Quarreling with my wife, Lu Tingxiao said and hung up. Mo Lingtian was speechless. He said it was a quarrel, but it sounded like he was abusing a dog. He wanted to quarrel with Zi Yarrow in the middle of the night. Sigh, in the living room of the Guan house. How is it, Yarrow? Did you tell Lu Tingxiao? Guan Rui asked. Guan Ziao nodded. I was afraid that he would feel awkward if I told him over the phone, so I sent him a text and an email. I saw that the text and email were all read, so he must know, but he hasn't replied to me yet. Guan Rui said in a knowing tone, he's a man. He needs time to digest this kind of thing. This is a good opportunity for you. Although girls should be more reserved, you should take the initiative when you need to. Take advantage of this time to accompany him. Don't give such a good opportunity to someone else. Do you understand what I mean? Guan Ziao nodded. I know what to do. Okay. Guan Rui looked at his daughter with satisfaction, knowing that she would not let him down. After returning to her room, Guan Ziao walked to the balcony and thought for a moment before calling Mo Lingtian. Mo Lingtian had just been mercilessly rejected and abused by Lu Tingxiao. When he was feeling hopeless, he didn't expect that his phone would ring again in the next second, and it was a call from Guan Ziao. Why would Ziao call him so late at night? Mo Lingtian was instantly revived. However, he did not dare to be too happy this time. He asked carefully, hello, Zi Yarrow? What's up so late at night? Nothing much. I just thought that the weather is pretty good recently, so I want to invite a few friends to go hiking and camping. Are you interested? Guan Xiao asked. Mo Lingtian was pleasantly surprised. Just when he was about to agree, he finally recalled the strategy that Lu Tingxiao had given him. He said in a slightly reserved manner, "When? Let me see if I'm free. Tomorrow is the weekend. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow. I should be free, okay?" Mo Lingtian tried hard to maintain a reserved and cold persona. "That's great. Can you ask Lu Tingxiao if he wants to go?" As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Lingtian's joyful expression suddenly froze. "Lu Tingxiao. I don't think he will go. What's wrong?" Guan Xiao asked immediately. "His quarreling with Ningxi. I guess he doesn't have time," Mo Lingtian said casually. Obviously, he didn't want to ask. Fight. Guan Xiao knew that it was probably because of the photos. She continued, "Since you're in a bad mood, you should come out and relax. Didn't Tingxiao like to climb mountains whenever he was in a bad mood?" "Ling Tian, can you help me ask?" "Okay." Guan Xiao was a cautious person. She thought carefully and felt that she should take the initiative, but she could not go too far. As far as she knew, Lu Tingxiao did not like women who took the initiative. Moreover, if she took the initiative, it would be too degrading. Even if she wanted to approach him, she should do it naturally. Therefore, she decided to use this method, and asking Mo Lingtian to make the appointment was undoubtedly the most appropriate. Chapter 984. On the other end of the phone, Mo Lingtian was silent for a long time and finally said, "Okay. I'll ask him for you, then I'll leave it to you. Good night." Good night. After hanging up Guan Xiao's call, Mo Lingtian threw his phone away and lit a cigarette. He leaned back on the sofa and smoked quietly for a while. There was dead silence in the cool room. After some time, the man suddenly kicked over the coffee table in front of him. After a burst of noise, the living room was in a mess, and the huge TV screen emitted bursts of sparks. After a long time, the ruthlessness on Mo Lingtian's face faded a little. He took a deep breath, got up, picked up the phone that was thrown away, and dialed Lu Tingxiao's number. "Hey, Lu Tingxiao, remember to come to camp tomorrow. Don't say you're busy, otherwise, I'll rush over and fight with you right now." Mo Lingtian's tone was obviously a little irritable and out of control. "What happened?" Lu Tingxiao's calm voice came from the other end of the phone. There was a hint of doubt in his voice. "Nothing. Anyway, you just need to come over. If you don't come, our friendship will end here. That's all, I'm hanging up." Mo Lingtian said and directly hung up. The phone fell to the ground. Mo Lingtian's face was full of bitterness. He raised his hand and slapped himself hard. Mo Lingtian, when are you going to be a bitch? But he had no choice. He couldn't not be a bitch. He couldn't not love her. In the study, Lu Tingxiao looked at the phone that was hung up, and his face was slightly gloomy. When Lu Tingxiao went downstairs, Ningxi was urgently dealing with the remaining ginseng deer antler soup. "Ah, sure enough, this soup can't be drunk randomly. Quickly pour it out." While she was busy, she suddenly felt a weight on her shoulder, and then a warm embrace came from behind. "What's up?" Ningxi used her arm to turn back and said angrily, "I'll take you to vent your anger tomorrow. Do you want to go?" Lu Tingxiao asked. "Ah, vent? What do you mean?" Ningxi was puzzled. "I just promised Mo Lingtian to go hiking tomorrow," Lu Tingxiao replied. "Hiking? Did this have anything to do with venting her anger? Unless Guan Xiao was here too. So, Lu Tingxiao wanted to take this opportunity to make Guan Xiao give up? Ningxi didn't mind. "Sure. I don't have to film tomorrow, so I can relax there." Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao excitedly and suggested, "Shall we take Xiaobao with us?" Lu Tingxiao said without hesitation, "No." "Why? Why didn't you bring Xiaobao?" Ningxi said unhappily. "Lu Tingxiao, it's too bright." Ningxi was speechless. Who would say that about their own son? While the two of them were talking, the sound of footsteps came from behind them. He saw little Bun, who was wearing pajamas, standing behind him. He looked at his father unhappily, as if the baby had heard him. Ningxi hurriedly ran over and picked up the little Bun. Oh, baby, why are you awake? Cough, don't listen to your father's nonsense. He was the third wheel. And it was the brightest kind. The reason why I didn't bring you along was that climbing the mountain was too tiring. Mama will sleep with you tonight. Don't be angry, let's ignore him. Tilda Ning. She glared at Lu Tingxiao and then coaxed the little bun upstairs. Lu Tingxiao, okay, he was indeed the brightest. Chapter 985. Spring was in full bloom and the sun was shining brightly. It was indeed a good time for a camping trip. In the parking lot at the foot of Mount Yuming, Guan Ziyao, Mo Lingtian, Lu Xinyan, and a few other men and women were standing in front of two luxury cars. They were waiting for someone. Where is he? Why isn't he here yet? Is he not coming? No way. I came because I heard that Brother Xiao was coming. Don't trick me. Guan Ziyao glanced at her watch. Let's wait a little longer. Ting Xiao is in a bad mood. Maybe he slept late. Bad mood? What's wrong? What's wrong? Someone immediately sensed gossip and hurriedly came over to ask. Guan Ziyao hesitated. I think he quarreled with his girlfriend. As soon as she said that, everyone was in an uproar. No way. Quarreled? Didn't they stick to each other like glue last time? Sister Ziyao, is that true? My brother really quarreled with that woman? Ha ha ha, they finally quarreled. I knew they didn't talk for long. Don't tell me they already broke up. I think it's very likely. It must be something big for someone like Brother Xiao to quarrel with someone like him. Hearing her friend's questions, Guan Ziyao apologized. I only heard it from Lingtian. I don't know the details. In fact, she knew very well that after what happened, Lu Tingxiao and Ning she would inevitably break up. When everyone heard this, they immediately asked Mo Lingtian all at once. Young Master Mo, what's going on? Young Master Mo. Young Master Mo. Young Master Mo? What? Mo Lingtian took a drag of his cigarette and looked impatiently in the direction of the crowd. Young Master Mo, why are you so distracted today? We just want to ask you about Lu Tingxiao's situation. Did they really break up? Break up? Mo Lingtian was in a bad mood. He had been in a daze and did not pay attention to what they were discussing, so he did not understand how they came to the conclusion that Lu Tingxiao had broken up. Yeah, didn't you tell Ziyao that Lu Tingxiao quarreled with his girlfriend? Someone asked. Mo Lingtian then remembered that he had indeed said that, but at that time, he only made up an excuse because he did not want Lu Tingxiao to come over. Did they all believe it? Moreover, it seemed like Zi Yaro also believed it. Mo Lingtian subconsciously took another look at Guan Ziyao and found that her complexion was particularly good today. Not only that, but she, who usually wore cold-colored clothes, actually wore a red dress today. For a moment, Mo Lingtian's expression became even uglier. Seeing Mo Lingtian's absent-minded look, everyone shook their heads and simply stopped asking him. They continued to gather together and gossip while waiting for others. Sigh. Here it comes. Look, isn't that Lu Tingxiao's car? Where? It's my cousin's car. Everyone watched as a black jeep slowly came to a stop. Then, the door opened and the person who stepped out was indeed Lu Tingxiao. Guan Ziyao walked over with a smile on her face. Tingxiao, you're here. You're the only one left. Shall we set off? Yeah. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Just as Guan Ziyao was about to step forward, she noticed that Lu Tingxiao didn't follow her. Instead, he walked around to the other side of the car and pulled open the passenger door. Did Lu Tingxiao call someone else? Then, a person got out of the car. It was Ningxi. Chapter 986. Why did Ningxi come here with Lu Tingxiao? Guan Ziyao was so surprised that she couldn't hide the shock on her face. She looked at the two people beside the car in astonishment. Then, what was more unbelievable was that when Ningxi got out of the car, Lu Tingxiao covered her head with his hand so that she wouldn't hit her head. After she got out of the car and closed the door, he naturally held her hand. The girl was wearing the same white sportswear as Lu Tingxiao, with a ponytail. She was rubbing her eyes and looked sleepy. Ningxi got up too early today. After getting in the car, She put down the backrest and began to catch up on sleep. So when the car drove over, no one noticed that there was someone in the passenger seat. At this moment, the two of them stood side by side, wearing matching outfits. They looked like a pair of young lovers who were passionately in love. How could it be possible? Didn't they break up? It seemed that they didn't even have a quarrel. Where did the accident happen? Ning. Miss Ning is here too? Guan Xiao said calmly, but her fingers were clenched tightly. The crew is on holiday. I took her out to relax. Ning, she was still sleepy. It was Lu Tingxiao who spoke. Well, let's go. We may not reach the top of the mountain before dark. Guan Xiao's expression had returned to normal. Although she had countless questions in her heart, it was not the time to ask them. She could only find a chance to ask Lu Tingxiao later. Why is this woman here? Seeing the two come together in couple's clothes, Lu Xinyan was disappointed. She really thought that they had broken up. As for the others who heard that they quarreled and broke up, they were all dumbfounded and whispered in low voices. It doesn't seem that they are going to break up. Is it a whitewash? They fight at the head of the bed and reconcile at the end. What's so strange about that? Mo Lingtian's eyes were on Guan Xiao all the time, so he clearly saw the change of her expression the moment Ning she appeared. He felt a sharp pain in his heart. At the same time, he was a little suspicious. He just said it casually last night. Why did Guan Xiao react as if she was sure that Lu Tingxiao and Ning she would break up? Thinking of this, Mo Lingtian felt that something was wrong. Could it be that there was something he didn't know? Everyone gradually came back to their senses and greeted each other. Then, they began to climb the mountain from the foot of the mountain. Yuming Mountain was more than 3,000 meters above sea level. The scenery along the way was beautiful. There were many primitive plants and wild animals on the mountain. Looking up, one could see the magnificent sea of clouds and strangely shaped mountain peaks. After climbing to the top, one could set up a tent and camp for the night. The next morning, one could watch the sunrise from the top. Lu Tingxiao often came here when he was training or thinking about things. However, he used to be alone, but this time, there was someone accompanying him. Ning, she obviously didn't sleep enough. After getting out of the car, she still looked dizzy. When someone came to greet her, she responded reflexively. Many of the people who came this time were acquaintances she met at the resort last time. Because of Ningxi's performance on the shooting field, everyone's attitude towards her had changed from disdain to curiosity and caution, especially in front of Lu Tingxiao. So on the surface, they were quite friendly to her. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.